Okay, so this video memo is on objection handling in marketing, right? And the reason why, normally we think about objection handling, we think, well, that's a salesperson's job. They get the prospect on the phone, they see them in person, and they work some sort of linguistic magic, and they make the person, they flip over these objections, and then suddenly they have a sold client. True enough, that's fine, but here's how it works in marketing, and here's why it's essential to handle objections, reservations, and concerns in marketing. Because when you are marketing, you're putting out a broad outreach, broad email, broad YouTube, broad website, broad everything, and you're trying to capture as much attention as possible so you can turn over as much as possible to sales. So, but here's the thing, right? So even when a person's being marketed to, they're being sold to some degree. You want their interest up. You want them to go, hey, that's me. I've got that problem. Let me talk to somebody. You want to get them there. You got to get them there, right? And so to a large degree, rather, it looks like, so you look at your client base, you look, and you might think, how did they arrive here? How did we get them here in the first place? Why did they come to us? And it was probably in large part through marketing, right? And so you put out material, you got their interest piqued, they happen to do the math in their head, and they go, I'm in need of this, let me start to reach back, and so you got traction that way. But you take your whole market, and that's a tiny segment of people. And obviously the goal of marketing is to stretch that thing and get as much of that market, those people that should be your clients and aren't right now, the people that are someone else's client that just don't know that they should be yours right now. You want to capture more and more of that, right? So there's a few different things you can do, and there's a lot with video that you should be doing. Here is one area, and that is the objection handling video. That is that time, that money, that we already have a legacy solution, that the timing isn't right, that thing where to discover these points, right? To discover what are the objections we should put in marketing. Number one, go talk to your salespeople, and actually you could just get down and sit in a chair next to them and say, hey, I want to role play objections with you. I just want to know what you're hearing, like what are people saying when they do object, what are they saying? And take notes and get down every one of these things, right? And then the reason, so then you have that ammunition. Then you have what needs to be addressed, right? What can you sort of flick out of the way with marketing material to get the person to okay, get the blinders off, man. Let's engage and really look at product. Let's get a deeper look, right? Now you have material to approach the market with. Now, the reason to put it in video is because largely objections aren't real. Objections usually have to do ultimately with either not being sold well enough or not having the decision maker. And so objections, there's usually a catalog of them, probably 4 or 5, and they all have to do with time, money, timing, already got it. I mean, they're generally the same ones industry to industry. But the reason to put them in video is because they need to be rapid fired. They need to be rapid fired so that a person can get over that quickly, so they don't sit there feeling like someone is trying to convince them. You don't want to just put it in writing on a website and say, here are the top 5 reasons why blah, blah, blah. Because then you're forcing that person. See, they're already going like this with objections, And so if they see like a 90-second or a 2-minute video and they go, click, and that thing goes, bam, here's why, bam. Here's what you're thinking, bam. Here's why it's fine, bam. Right, one after the other, they can get through it. They can get over that hurdle. But if they have to sit there and read the content, and in some cases, if they have to sit on a phone and listen to them being handled by another human being, it's a lot trickier. That's a big reason why there's really successful salespeople and not as successful. That's why there's this spectrum in sales. That's one of the reasons why there's that spectrum in sales of really great and not as good, is because it takes very skilled communication in order to handle these reservations and objections in a live communication cycle, right? If you just have them on for 2 minutes on a video, they can get through it. But if you're asking them to read it, or you're trying to make them have a conversation before you even bring them up, Number one, you're losing a large segment of your market. There's so many more people that if they could just be gotten over that hurdle, they would be into the hands of your sales team. They would be reaching more. People can't reach through an objection. And the objection is something they're putting up, right? They see your marketing material. They may even get their interest piqued. And as soon as their interest is piqued and they're looking around and they're thinking about it, as soon as they start to think about it, the objections immediately come to mind and you are losing market right away. So anyway, food for thought, an objection handling video, very powerful part of the process of moving them through these decision points. Prospects have to make decisions, and decisions, they take place like that, right? Yes or no. No can take place like that. And if you have a prospect who's decided no, the challenge to get them out of a no is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. 99% of the time they're done. Because the power of a human decision is glorious. It's tremendous. When a person has decided, it's generally already done. Because you're not going to go, but wait a minute, hold on, let me talk to you about it. It's not going to happen most of the time. Right? It takes a tremendous salesperson with very, very strong skill to get a person to take that no and that they've made and change it to yes. So when you pique that interest, when you use your marketing material and you pique that interest, the last thing you want, and the reason why a large segment of the market is being lost, a big reason is because a prospect is running into their own objections that they immediately create as a natural phenomena of the sales process, of the marketing to sales process, and they're reaching a no conclusion. And when they've done that, they're moving on to something else because everybody's too busy these days anyway. Anyway, that's a lot of data. There's a lot more I could say about it. It's not just food for thought. Let's do a marketing video that addresses the top objections. And don't worry about going and surveying your salespeople and all that kind of stuff. We'll send over a questionnaire. You send that down to them. We'll get the data out of them, and it'll be part of the whole process. We'll walk it right through with you. We know how to do it. We know how to get those objections correctly stated, because they have to be correctly stated. You might get 20 from salespeople, and most of it's fluff. Most of it's you're talking to somebody who they don't quite have it right, or they're a little bit unskilled or something like that. It usually boils down to 3 or 4 or 5, generally not more than that, of the really key ones that every single person's running into. Anyway, that's all. Reach back, let me know. Oh, check out the examples below too. Those are pretty cool.